Welcome to Last Week in Warframe, a series where I keep you updated on the past week of Warframe by compiling all news and posts from the developers of Warframe into one easy to consume video. So without further ado, let's go over these announcements and news from the 11th of November to the 17th. First on the list, PC players received Hotfix 26.0.7. It launched with a new dojo room, the Crimson Branch, and this new room is required in order to trade converted Kuva Liches. There is only one terminal in this room, and it simply opens up a trade screen, just like your standard trade terminal. However, the only difference is there is a tab for converted Kuva Liches. Now, players can trade converted Liches to anyone, and they can be traded for platinum or any other item. The converted Lich can only be traded once, as the ephemeras and weapons can be a reward after you take down that traded converted Lich. Also in the hotfix, players can no longer get the same weapons in a row from a generated Lich. But now you can go from Seer Brak, Seer Brak, Seer Brak, and so on. You'll never get Seer, 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 and so on. Players can also use 4 defiled Requiem mods to create one new random Requiem mod. Now both Void and Requiem Fisher missions can also appear on the Kuva Fortress mission node as of this hotfix, and DE has increased the Kuva Lich ephemera generation to 10%. So they have a 10% chance to appear on any of your generated Liches. The True Steel mod has also had its critical chance increased to 120% with that doubling when you use a heavy attack. They've also increased the Sacrificial Steel mod with its critical chance increasing to 220%, and just like with True Steel, that percentage will double when using a heavy attack. A number of melee stances were also changed, with certain attacks being moved to the end or start of combos, and that information has been displayed on screen. I do have my patch note video on the hotfix up on the channel if you do wish to watch it and hear me read it out to you and all the other changes and fixes, but if you want to read it yourself, the patch notes, just like everything else, are linked in the description. My video, there's a card up on your screen, and it is also linked down in the description as well. As for the fixes in this hotfix, they are up on your screen. For console players, update 26 The Old Blood and the hotfixes up to 26.0.6 are currently in certification to be available for you guys. Sadly, I did list everything up to 26.0.6, which means you won't be receiving Kuva Lich trading, duplicate protection, or anything mentioned in the aforementioned PC hotfix, as stated by DE Danielle, where she clarified on the forums. As for what you will be getting, here's a brief little rundown. You'll be getting Grendel, Kuva Liches, Valence Transfer, an improvement to Momaw Progress, Vauban and Ember's reworks, plus their follow-up buffs, all the arbitration fixes that you didn't receive for months, and the ones that came in update 26. Titania Deluxe and her changes, as well as a lot more. But as I have added to my schedule, I will have a patch note video up that is everything you will be getting. It will be long, it will be out when the update goes live, just to let you know if you want to listen to it, and of course that it is live on your platforms. A quick thing to note, Nintendo Switch's update will make Warframe exceed the base storage capacity of the Switch, so you will need to have extra storage if you wish to play when the update launches. They have said they'll be working to reduce that size back below the base capacity, but for this update it will exceed it, and if you want to play, you will need an SD card. But if you want a head start and know everything that's coming for those consoles, the patch notes are linked in the description. In regards to the upcoming console update for Switch players, DE Danielle replied to a number of posts. First, she stated that they might have found a fix for the flickering textures, and that fix will be a part of the Old Blood update. On top of that update, adding new USB voice functionality, a new keyboard dictionary, and it will also include improved shader and audio performance, improvements to public matchmaking, and fixes that fix multiple crashes, black screen issues when loading into missions, jittery animations on all airborne and flying units, and a fix for a controller lockup that would result in players only being able to cast abilities after switching to their operator and back again. Danielle has also shared a link to a Nintendo Switch support page and FAQ page on SD cards for those who want to know about it more when looking at SD cards, so all information about that will be linked in the description. Moving on though, DE Momaw shared that the issue with players not receiving Requiem Relics after playing a rescue mission has been fixed, and that it was caused by them not taking into account the reward pool for freeing the hostage without being spotted, or if you kill the guards. The Saryn and Valkyr Prime Vault will close on the 19th of November at 2 PM Eastern Time, but it will reopen for Vauban and Ash Prime, the Fragor Prime Axe Stiletto, Carrier, and Vectus Prime on that date. The Prime accessories returning with those Warframes and items will be the Citadella Prime Syndana, the Catino Prime Sugatra, the Yamako Prime Syndana, the Unda Prime accessories, and as usual, the Prime glyphs. 1200 Platinum will also be attached to the main bundle and split based on what you purchase. Saryn and Valkyr Prime's relics will of course be removed from the game's drop tables, but those who already have them, like usual, will retain them. The next Devstream will be on the 22nd of November. Our orbiters will be a captura tile soon. This was a placeholder item in Update 26, but it will be releasing at some point for 10 million credits. DE are also building a new sound studio that will provide better foley, voice recordings, and a better overall audio mix for the game. It will also allow each sound designer to record audio properly, the ability to record larger instruments and props, as well as Dolby Atmos, and more. Next up, I'm a bit unsure if I have covered it already, but Rebecca shared that they have always wanted to remove Syndicate gain from Sigils, but they have not had the time. Players also shared on Reddit that they would like a guaranteed useful drop from Kuva Liches, and Rebecca replied with the following after 2 players commented on a large amount of Kuva. Quote, "We plan on adding Kuva, scaled up by rank, so by the end of a Lich encounter, you would have at minimum 5000 Kuva. Since you are likely to repeat the final rank 5 encounter, you would make out with more, and if you're lucky on the Requiems, you may make out with less. Numbers aren't final, but that's the ballpark." End quote. Now, Rebecca had also noted that it will require balancing and restrictions after a few players shared a number of situations that could occur if the Kuva was rewarded per encounter, or if the Kuva was granted to every member in a squad and you would get like 20k per mission. And Rebecca did acknowledge that it would require balancing. Now, as we get to the end, we have a pretty large section, and that's a notable interaction between Rebecca and a player. It occurred during the week in regards to DE's lack of response about Kuva Lich feedback and the type of player feedback that has been shared. It did start with Rebecca sharing that a fix to a Lich ephemera will be coming in an upcoming hotfix, but the player replied with the following: "Any chance you will break radio silence and give a real update before Friday addressing why all of our feedback has come to naught? Honestly, this latest update has been a bit of an insult. It's really started to break my heart to see the direction things are going. Give us some real tangible news regarding how DE will be making sure that the Lich system is done right, complete and near polished before it gets swept under the rug when Empyrean is released. Honestly, I'm starting to worry about what Empyrean and Duviri Paradox will be like if the Nemesis system is any indication to go by. Your community goodwill is eroding." Where Rebecca responded, "The contents of this comment are hyperbolic, which makes it hard to engage with in good faith. I hope you will tune into our next dev stream where we are able to speak to numerous things people have brought up on a large platform to reach as large as an audience as possible. The major remaining things we see are pacing, commitment, RNG, and co-op friendliness, which we will discuss openly." The player replied, "They are hyperbolic because you have a community that cares, and a dev team that has asked for feedback which has been provided in spades. DE has sat on our feedback for 2 weeks now, and have had 2 years to make this game mode happen. Much of our feedback has been clever, insightful, and viable. The lack of comms on your end is fueling discontent. Me personally, I have no drive to play the Lich system anymore when I see DE taking similar paths as BioWare and Bethesda. BioWare accidentally made their game into an enjoyable looter shooter in an update, which they promptly turned off. DE, what did you do recently? Turned off Lich kill murmur sharing. I know you addressed it passingly, Reb, but nothing has been said since. The similarities to Bethesda is releasing the game mode in as bad as a shape as it is in, and then introducing yet more monetary transactions into the equation. This is putting the cart before the horse, and DE, you are or were better than that. The problems we as the community have pointed out to you should have been addressed immediately, as they directly influence replayability and enjoyment. Instead, you give us a trading system which brings money into the equation, when there are still large glaring issues with the game holding it back from being as great as it can be. Waiting yet another week to address them comes across as indifference and sweeping it under the rug, especially given that you wish to send this to consoles, and Empyrean and Duviri are around the corner. For once, will DE not see something to completion as polished as it can be that will bring you a viable financial gain, and the community something that is both a challenge and entertaining whilst being replayable? Our feedback addresses many of those very points." And Rebecca finished with, "Yep, I completely respect your care, and it's a challenging situation when all game devs are bad and only want money rhetoric enters the conversation. As I mentioned, the major remaining things we see are pacing, commitment, RNG, and co-op friendliness, which we will discuss openly." It's a gamer's prerogative to say, quote, "You're being like BioWare and Bethesda, but it's really hard to engage with constructively. Do you have feedback on the things I mentioned? Trading Liches was something that was meant to ship with Liches, as we indicated on streams that you'd be able to trade them. But it came 11 business days later, which has had a lot of thrash, pros and cons. To set expectations, you may indeed to wait another week for comprehensive addressing of more macro commentary from our goals and intentions, plus a lot of data, but there will definitely be hotfixes in between them. Also, Duviri is nowhere near around the corner." Lastly, we had DE KillerKarpFen explain an invisible geometry bug on the Lua Defense tile set by saying, "This tile is relatively complex when it comes to its mover setup, meaning moving parts. In this case, all the crashing and falling bits as the level stages progress. When it comes to more involved setups like in this tile, we start using the helper meshes to attach stuff to, so we only have to animate one mesh and attach all the other parts to that. Crude, but effective. In this scenario, one of these helper meshes had a starting position, where he provided the image on screen. Now normally, these don't have physics properties and don't interact with anything in the world at all, but this one had a wrong physics type, and so still had collision on it. Anyway, that concludes last week in Warframe. If you found the video informative, make sure to leave a like. If you think I can improve upon the series in any way, shape or form outside of sharing my own opinion, let me know in the comments section down below. If you want the glyph codes, there are 5 per platform up on your screen, chuck them into the promo code section on the Warframe website and you'll get it. If it's already been redeemed, someone else already redeemed it. And if you want to check out last week's episode, the annotation is on your screen, it'll take you right to it. Thank you for watching and I'll see you guys next time. It's incredibly hot here, so I am going to have a drink.